Virginia City, in Nevada territory, came a miner's son to live and son to die. Where the gold and silver beckoned, they would all get rich.
Good day, Joe Curtis here. We're having another session here of Virginia City Truth, No Myths. And today we're in the Comstock Firemen's Museum, which is actually a original Virginia City structure from 1862. And it houses the historical fire equipment for the originally volunteer fire departments. And we're going to move forward from here. So this will become a specific lecture or presentation session at a point in the future when we get to talking about things like the Great Fire of Virginia City that destroyed much of the community. So that's for a later session. But we're gonna step back today, and we're going to kind of discuss what happened when the people started coming into this area mining for gold and requiring somewhat of a community to start to build up. And as that community built up from about 1859 up through 1860 and 61, it was a major movement of people from, to a great degree, California mother lode areas, as well as people from the East Coast coming around the Horn on ships, coming to California, coming over into Nevada, because now we're developing this sensation of a new and wonderful find of gold and opportunities for building your fortune and making your place in society for yourself for the rest of your life. As the community began to grow, of course, like any community, you think, well, a few people settle here, and a few people more settle here, and over a period of time it begins to grow. As that growth pursues forward, you're finding everything from doctors, lawyers, unfortunately a lot of lawyers, because of the mining industry. That was fertile ground for the legal industry for sure. Grocery stores, general merchandise stores, hardware stores, a couple of them that were similar to what we see today as Home Depot or Lowe's, and we'll get into discussing those particular businesses and how they affected and interacted with the community. So by 1859, as we move into like 1861, from about 400 people initially, you're moving into about 2,000 to 3,000 people that are now settling in the community. In another year from there, we're upwards to 6,000 people into the community. And when you get 6,000 people in the community, you know, today, not 2022, the Virginia City has roughly about 1,100 people in the community. So it's shrunk back somewhat over the years as they've moved forward. The community became such that it had to have all of these things to function, because they developed brick yards, lumber yards, and the lumber came from Lake Tahoe, came here by freight wagon, and to build structures of one kind or another. A business district develops. If you've been here in the past or have seen pictures, today Virginia City's main street is what is called C Street, the letter C, as in ABC. And it's kind of funny because people on here will order things from maybe Amazon, and they'll say it's on C Street, and the address will come to SEE or SAA Street, and it gets confusing with alphabet type of addresses. But the community builds quickly, and as people are here, they need churches, and churches build up. So you have, early on, you have a Catholic church, because a lot of the people come here early in that 1861, 2, 3, 4, 5 period of time. Many of them are Irish. or English, and they are associated with Catholicism. So the Catholic Church becomes very popular here. There was also churches, though, such as the Methodist Church, and there was the Episcopal Church, and the Episcopal Methodist Church, a combination that was also here. And as we move forward, again, we'll be able to see photographs of some of these structures that were here. I have done presentations in the past, and as we go through this, we'll be able to see some of these things. But one of the presentations that people find the most interesting is photographs of the community, and we call the presentation, What Happened to All of the Old Buildings? So we have photographs of them, and we have what was there now. So we'll eventually be able to see some of that. So as the community develops, as the mining industry takes over virtually the community, the mining industry has to have support of various things. So they need blacksmith shops. They need people who make wire or can obtain wire to make cages to take down into the mines. They have to have apothecaries, as they call it at that time, or drugstores, because the people were getting sick of all sorts of illnesses. They needed a hospital. So the Sisters of Charity, Catholic nuns, came in, set up a hospital. There was another hospital as well, which was more like a county hospital for the less affordable. It was more affordable, excuse me. The mining industry definitely developed a need for legal services, because there was always some sort of argument between various mining companies as to who owned what ground, or who had what rights to what ground. To be able to determine who has access, or who has ownership, if you will, of this section that has gold in it or has silver in it, which was, of course, the two major things that we're looking at. One of the myths or the thoughts about Virginia City is that this was all about gold here, but that's really not true. What this community was really all about was silver. Gold was certainly there, and the amount and value of the gold that was taken out was greater than the amount of silver, simply because you could have lesser gold and more value, but you could have more silver but lesser value. So as they got the gold and silver out, and it also had involvement with things like what standard of dollars and money was the government, was our country on at that time. There was a mint in Carson City that used a good portion of our gold and silver, mostly silver, to be able to make the money. So you may well have heard of Carson City dollars or Carson City other coins, and they were all minted right in Carson City, and today are quite valuable. But as these miners came in, they brought families. They brought wives. They brought children who needed schools, so they built schools. They needed places for the ladies to buy their clothing, so there were millinery stores. They needed places to be able to buy stoves or kitchenware or bedroom materials, beds, sheets, what have you, and there were stores to provide that. So as you see, as we move forward, that there is a significant increase in general business. So we'll get into more specifics with each one of these kinds of businesses and how they were affected. So probably the next issue or next episode, what we'll talk about is the stockbrokers and how purchase and sale of stock occurred within the Comstock relative to all of the mining industry. So stay tuned for our next episode as it comes out, and we'll address, like I say, more truths instead of myths of Virginia City, and we'll watch for you when you come back.
It was in Virginia City, in Nevada territory, came a miner's son to live and son to die. Where the gold and silver beckoned, they would all get rich, they reckoned. They would strike the richest pay dirt of their lives. In Virginia City's mountain desert high, it was to Virginia City with its Comstock low